Hello, and welcome to today's Bible reading. We are in the book of Isaiah, and about chapter 26 probably. We'll see 27, now it's 28. So we're going to be doing Isaiah chapter 28, okay? Okay, so so we were reading chapter 28 of Isaiah, and honestly, this book has been very difficult for me to read. Just like to read, obviously to comprehend also, but I started reading this in 2025, like December, I think, probably even November. I can see the logs actually, but the thing is, it's been a while, and I just have not been consistent with Bible reading. So right now I'm just missing the major prophets, I think, mainly to finish the whole Bible. And the last couple of months, now today is about half of June 2026, and I'm just recently in chapter 28, and I've reread some of the sorry, I've had to reread some chapters several times, because I will stop reading, go without reading for weeks, and then come back to it. And I could give you some excuses, right? I've been doing, I've been busy, but honestly, doesn't matter what you're doing, really. I've been really busy some of these weeks, some of these days. Not like the last month. Last month I could have done this no problem, but between January and half of April I was studying for some exams, and well, that's a study for another day. And even then I think I could have just read like half a page, right? One page, half a page. Right now I read about one page, and ideally, like my target ideally is 4 pages, but obviously half a page, one page is a whole lot of better than 0. Like if you for 90 days do half a page, that's 45 pages in 3 months or 90 days. 45 versus 0. And even if you read like a quarter page, which is like you can do so fast, it's still about 22 pages, I think. 25, yeah, about, I think, 22 pages. And that's a lot. Like that's about a week reading well, 4 pages a day. So today it's Monday, and I'm going to try to read and do these videos to try to also explain what I've read, because with the book of Isaiah I'm finding that I cannot, like, I was doing this this sort of challenge, or I set this target for me of reading the whole Bible, and I said I'm just going to read it. I'm not going to meditate that much on it. Obviously sometimes you have to, or you feel like it, or you feel drawn, but with this book, it's maybe like the book of Job. It's a bit harder to understand. You need more context, and today I probably don't have the time to do a bit of research, like on commentaries and historical context of more of this. But in chapter 28 we see the title, at least in my Bible, is the damnation of Ephraim, I think it's called. And then that's the first section till verse 13, and then we have an admonistation to Jerusalem. My Bible is in Spanish. I need to get an English Bible for this, so I'm translating live. And the first part, the one of the admonistation to Ephraim, goes first with it talks about the crown of the, like, pride, sort of. It's not pride, it's another word, but something similar, about the drunken of Ephraim, and how these people, does some comparison about the drunken of Ephraim, and about how the beauty of the glory of a flower so the crown of their pride, sort of, it's not pride, but, and this flower of the beauty of its glory, it says there's an, I think that probably the translation in English would say woe about this, like a hurt that it's coming upon them. And fast forward to verse 7. Essentially it says that the people, like in eminence, on which judgment depends upon, like the judgment, I think, of people, it says these made mistakes because of its wine and its cider. The priest and the prophet, they again err with cider, and they were, messed up in their heads, I guess, by wine, and because of that they made mistakes in visions, and they stumble in judgment. I know this is talking about, at the beginning, talks about, drunken people, and here it just talks about the wine and the cider. Doesn't say it's drunken, but obviously it's implied, I think. Verse 8 talks about the table being full of vomit and dirtiness, even so that there is no place clean in the table. And I think biblically you can drink alcohol. I think that is very clear. Talks about wine sometimes in a good light. Also, obviously, the communion is with wine. And yeah, it's something that we can drink, but there's a chapter in Proverbs, like the last one, the one that talks about the virtuous woman. At the end, talks about the king Lemuel, I think it's called, and it's his mother telling him like advice, right? And one of those is that he, as a prince or as a king, should not be drinking wine. It's not for him, she says, let the people that are sad, and low of joy or something, the people that are kind of having a bad time, let them drink wine, to get rid of their sorrows and such. And the thing is, biblically, you can do it. I think it's not a sin. Obviously, if you drink too much, it's a sin, drunkenness. But you can do it. But I think it's why would you do it, right? If you don't, if you don't like really enjoy it, like the flavor of it or how it makes you feel, like if you don't really need it, I think you shouldn't do it. Not you shouldn't, but it would be best for you to not do it. It's biblically. And nowadays, if you look at the science, right, the latest literature on the subject, it's any degree of alcohol, it's harmful. It's not good. It's I don't know really the details of the research. I'm just like parroting what I've heard. I should look into it. But I think one of the things that people always say, oh, the antioxidants in wine, I think they don't offset the bad side of wine, and the least of that is that it's a highly caloric thing, drinking alcohol, which is not good for keeping in shape. But there are more reasons, obviously. They disrupt some of your like neurotransmitters, I think. I'm not sure. I should read up on it. And well, I don't want to stuck here too long. The thing is, there are better ways to get antioxidants in your body, like eating blueberries and such. So yeah, so these people here, they made mistakes, and I understand there's sort of a judgment from God coming upon them because of the mistakes they have made because of their drunkenness. Okay, then from 14 to 29th, this is a reference that I think it's applied to Jesus in the future. Verse 16 says this: the cornerstone, precious, and the foundation of this. Talks about this rock or stone, or that is, I think in Romans says the cornerstone, what that was, turned down, or not appreciated by the builders. It has come to be the cornerstone of I don't remember of what it says, but obviously a cornerstone. at the end it makes sort of a comparison of people that work the earth, right? And how, different herbs. I don't know if I get the translation of the names right, so I'm just not going to try, but names a few like herbs which are different from wheat and these like grains. So it mentions like some herbs and grains, and how you don't what's the name, you don't gather them, you don't, once they're ready, you don't gather them the same way. The herbs, these herbs that he's talking about, they are not gathered like wheat is, or the grains, but they are gathered like with a stick and hitting the tree of this herb. And honestly, I'm not sure here if it's not talking about, that depending on what type of like herb or wheat or what type of thing you are, that's the treatment that God is going to give you. But given the verse 29th verse, talks about the wonderful counsel of the Lord of hosts, Jehovah, and about making great his wisdom. Probably these last verses need more thought. Okay, so this is what I can gather about this chapter, but yeah, probably we need some more input on this. So maybe some commentary, some historical context, what happened before, what happened after, and references about this, because I have some references here but I have not looked on them. So yeah, this is for today. Tomorrow we'll go with chapter 29. Goodbye.